Hello and welcome to Track versus Track. I'm Jacob Rosdale and I'm joined by Matthew Jensen. This is a record I picked for Track versus Track where we rank each track off an album. And this goes back to the origins of our series, Matt. I think I kind of told you about this, but maybe not. You used to do track versus track of each, and I loved that concept. We might have to return to that at some point. But originally I was like, you should do Ram and Mind Games. And I didn't really know Mind Games. I was just looking for a John Lennon that had the same number of tracks as Ram. And this one does. Had you listened to this record at all before I forced you to?
I bought this along with, I think his third, basically all the way. I only had 3 Lennon albums for the longest time. I had the first 2 and I had the last, Double Fantasy. And I think I bought this, Walls and Bridges, New York City, the third album, I forget the full title of that, Rock and Roll, and Milk and Honey. And is there any more, or is that all of them? Basically all those middle ones, his Lost Weekend albums, basically. And I probably listened to them once. I knew the song Mind Games because that gets a little bit of radio play on like Sirius XM, but no, I had never really listened to this album up until.
When you started your YouTube channel, you were primarily focused on the Beatles. And that's how I got involved, how I got invested in your channel. And Beatles fandom, at least I'm going to generalize here, especially with people our age who were born after, John Lennon was dead. So there was never going to be a reunion. The solo albums kind of just exist. We're playing catch up with the Beatles. We weren't able to follow each album by album. So big blind spot for me, honestly, a lot of the Beatles. And it's going to be kind of a side project of mine or a side agenda of mine with this series, Track versus Track, to hit maybe not every, we'll see about that, most Beatles solo albums. So I become more familiar with these because when we do this, the track ranking, we really do become familiar with an album more than just from listening to it. I don't know if I've ever taken I think you're a John guy. Aren't you a John guy?
Yeah.
Same here. But his solo albums are mainly, I don't know if he's the best solo artist. Mainly the big reason might be on the cover of the record. There's no point in John solo. Well, besides this album and Walls and Bridges, he was with Yoko Ono, and there's a lot of songs about Yoko Ono, particularly in this album, which is recorded at the beginning of their 8-month separation. So Walls and Bridges was the other one recorded during that period, and an interesting period in John's life. He was with Yoko's personal assistant, I believe, in a condoned relationship. But lots of songs about Yoko on this. If in general you don't like songs about Yoko Ono, Lennon's solo discography might not be your thing. And this album, not an exception for that. I don't know if there's an uninteresting period in John Lennon's life, honestly, but this is the point where he was being investigated by the FBI, coming off of a failed political album, the New York City one. I think you said it. Mm-hmm. So should we get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Anything else to add? Okay. Track 1 is this single. It's the title track, Mind Games. Playing those mind games together. It kind of begins with like this bell-bottom blues type instrumental too. Did you catch that?
I did.
I think I picked this album because I knew that song. It's the only reason I own this album is I knew Mind Games. It's a good song. Do you care to disagree with me about Mind Games being a good song?
No, I like it. We talked a little bit before we started this recording that we were going to disclose if we were going to rank a song in the top 3 positions. This doesn't make my top 3, but I like it. So I will be able to disclose a ranking for this one. I have this as my number 5 actually, but I really like this album. And John's solo stuff, as you alluded to earlier, is like, for me, even though he's my favorite Beatle, his solo discography is really hit or miss. I mean, I love the first 2 albums, and I never got this, and I never got those other ones that I mentioned, partly because, like, as a kid growing up, and after you bought all the Beatles albums and you started to want to dive into their solo, like, they just didn't sell. I mean, this is pre-internet. They just didn't sell this. I never saw this in the store. Did you ever see this like in a?
I only ever saw Imagine, and that's the only one I ever owned on CD. So
Right.
I didn't own this until I found this copy at the record store.
So I have this as my number 5, and just like you said, it's got a great repetitive chorus. And here's what I think when I listen to Mind Games. I think of Cat Stevens like repetition. If you ever listen to like a Cat Stevens song off of Tea for the Tillerman, or Mona Bone Jackin', or Teaser and the Firecat, there's like this constant repetition of a very short melodic motif, but it never gets old because it's so tasty. Like Peace Train, for example. This song just gives me that vibe of kind of a Cat Stevens song, just constantly recycling this chorus over and over again. Obviously, you got the lush orchestrations, but it doesn't really develop beyond that just wonderful Mind Games. I mean, there's that little bridge in there, but it's pretty forgettable. But I mean, it's such a solid chorus. But I really honestly like 4 songs. I would say marginally better, two a lot better, but this is a higher than. Gosh, I feel bad putting this at 5, but I just like 4 songs better. What about you? Is this in your top 3?
It is in my top 3. So one change we're making to the format this episode, and I just realized I forgot to number my list, which always causes us problems. So that's what I'm doing right here, right quick. We are going to go track by track and say where they are listed in our ranking, except for the top 3, which we will reveal at the very end. In case, just add a little bit of an element of surprise, though I don't know how much that will actually, but we're trying it out here. The track number 2 is Tight As, S with a $, a play on words with tight as and tight ass. I'm allowed to say that, aren't I?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Country tune, kind of honky tonk, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This one is near the bottom for me. Well, actually, I'm looking at my number. It's in the middle. It's tight. It's number 6. I don't know if I like the pun. I think that's where I get. And it's very reliant on that tight ass. And I don't even really get where the. This is one that I think gets read as another dig at his fellow Beatles. But I don't know. There's other tracks I like more, and there are tracks I like less. This is an album. I never said my general feelings about the album. It's one I think the rest of the albums we've done for this series, I would say, are good to great. This is an okay album. It's Tight As. Tight As is a decent album track. Offers some variety in there, but nothing all that special. Where do you have it?
I actually have it a little lower than you. Not by much. I have it at number 7. For whatever reason, you said country, and that, yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. I guess I was thinking it was more of like a blues style, and it sounds very similar to Jeepster by Mark Bolan and T-Rex. Are you familiar with that off of Electric Warrior?
No.
Girl, I'm just a Jeepster for your love. It's got boom, 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 boom. It's got a bluesy country vibe to it. It reminds me actually a lot of, speaking of the Ram album, kind of like Three Legs.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's probably more bluesy than country.
Yeah, it's totally inoffensive. It's it's just a bluesy number, and yeah, I mean the lyric and the title is stupid.
We can agree
There's
on
nothing
that.
wrong with it. I know. I think people actually like this one maybe better than we do.
So this one, it's not my bottom track. Track number 3 is Aisumasen, in parentheses, I'm sorry, because Aisumasen is Japanese for I'm sorry, though I've read that he mispronounces it. So that's one ding against it. It is my number 11. It's not my bottom track. There's a clear, easy bottom track on this record. I'm sure we'll get to. It's just kind of a dull song for me, and I mentioned it's lots of songs about Yoko. This is the one that literally says the name Yoko, removing any chance of it being a universal song for people to enjoy. Um, Other songs are clearly about his relationship, but you can kind of put yourself in there. But this one and maybe one other are just so specific that it kind of takes you out. And I mean, I applaud John and being very autobiographical in his discography, his solo discography. This one just didn't work for me. Where do you have it?
I have it a lot higher. Almost cracks my top three. I have it at number four. I actually have it right ahead of Mind Games. Gospel influence. It's a slow piano ballad. Anytime I hear piano is like the featured instrument, though, I'm all in. And it's got that Georgia on My Mind, Ray Charles vibe to it. And honestly, um, that McCartney-like bass that kind of syncopates over the through the piano parts reminds me a lot of "Oh Darlin'" off of Abbey Road. It's a lot slower, but and it doesn't quite have that 50s, doom 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 pulsing eighth note pattern, but it gives me "Oh Darlin'" vibes. And if a song even gives me a fingernail of "Oh Darlin'" vibes, I'm a fan. I like the song a lot. I liked it on first listen, as a matter of fact. I'm like, ooh, this because Mind Games I knew and I liked. Tight As, I was like, it's just standard kind of blues song. And then this was the third song on the album. I'm like, man, 2 out of 3, cranking out some pretty good songs here. Yeah, it's my number 4.
Yeah, it took a long time, and I never did warm to it, honestly. Um, Moving to track number 4, John sings in falsetto for One Day at a Time. It's cool to hear him sing in falsetto, but it is grating for an entire song. So it is my number 10 out of 12. One day at a time. But he sings it higher than that. It's like a cartoonish, like
And I'm the apple and you're the tree.
oh, and the lyrics are bad too. Because I'm the bird and you're the bee. I don't think that's one, but it could have been one. Where do you have One Day at a Time?
I actually can't tell you, Jacob, because it's in my top 3.
It's in your top 3. Wow, we are really different on Mind Games here.
Yeah, we've been pretty similar on every track versus track. This is obviously not going to be anywhere like the other ones in terms
We're
of
topsy turvy here. Why? Well, I mean, you can say why you like it now without revealing where it is on your track listing.
Oh yeah. So yeah, falsetto, that doesn't bother me. As a matter of fact, I like the vocal variety. And I think you said that didn't offend you too much. It's just the whole song being
Yeah,
in
the whole
that.
song. And he has,
That
I don't know if he's overdubbed dubbing himself or if he has backup singers, but it just has a weird, I mean, I think he always doubles up his vocals
yeah.
in this album, but with the
Yeah.
falsetto, it just sounded weird. I don't know. I just found it grating. At first, it does get stuck in my head, the One Day at a Time part. But when I listen to it and listen to it over and over, I'm like, this is probably one of the more grating tracks, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's got this like pop psychedelic overtone, both the lyrics obviously, but the melody too, and it just kind of floats. It's very like on an acid trip almost. And there's these falling like harmonies. I think it's probably his overdubs. During the verses, there's these and it reminds me a lot of the Into the Great Wide Open by Tom Petty. I don't know if you know that song.
I know
It's like
that song. Yeah, I know that song.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like it. I would say it's whimsical, and it reminds me a lot of like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
I was gonna say, I mean, when you put it like that, there's a Sergeant Pepper quality to it, maybe. But I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that. But you are welcome to say that. A couple more tracks on kind of, sort of, on side A. We have Bring On the Lucie, in parentheses, Freda People. This is a top 3 one for me. It's a political song, but without being very specific on how it's political. I actually Googled trying to figure out what human crisis was going on during the recording of this that the song could have been written about, and no one seems to even take a stab of what free the people. Free the people. Yeah, and it's a simple kind of stupid chorus, and a lot of John Lennon like heart on his sleeves, all you need is love type things. It's just free the people, Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it.
Do it. Ah. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's the most. I don't know. It's up there as tracks that like you hear it once and you're like, okay, that's awesome. At least to me, I heard it. And I was like, okay, I could sing along with this. Let me guess, it's your number 11 or 12. You hate it?
No,
Okay.
no, but it is on the lower end. It's my number 9. See now, John has a couple songs that this instantly reminds me of. Power to the people, and all we are saying is give peace a chance. But I like those two songs better than this. And this song honestly sounds like it is ripped off the album All Things Must Pass. This has such George Harrison vibes to it.
I can see that. I can see that.
And it's the production too. It's that Phil Spector-y, just the kitchen sink sound. And obviously,
Did Spector produce this one? I know he did some of them. I don't think I have a real. Oh, I do.
I don't know if he did. No, I don't know if he did this one. I'm not certain. He he did Imagine, but yeah, I don't know if he did produce this one. Boy, I feel foolish for not having done my research there, but
I don't think he did. He didn't.
I don't think he did either. Definitely has that sound. It sounds like a weak track off of All Things Must Pass, and it kind of has like elements of this Hawaiian. I don't know. It sounds like it's almost like a Hawaiian song at times. Specifically this "You Are Here" lyric, and I can't bring that to light right now. I can't sing it for you, but I don't know. It's a totally fine song.
I like how it starts with "One more, guys." He does the goofy voice that I thank Paul for doing, but it's only for one line. It's not a whole verse or chorus. Okay. And then closing out the track, we have 5 Seconds of Silence, otherwise known as the Nutopian International Anthem, which apparently was a gag he and Yoko did, created a fake country. It sounds very eye-rollingly John and Yoko to me, not having lived through the stunt or whatever it was. But that one's I think you have to put that at 12. Or is there a song that you thought was worse than 5 Seconds of Silence?
No, it's my number 12. It'd be funny if someone really hated this album, they put it in their top 3, just
I'd rather listen to 5 Seconds of Silence.
No, it's nothing.
Yeah, John did the artwork himself. I saw that when I was looking for the producer. You kind of little photo montage. It's him walking. It's pretty literal. It's pretty literal. Yeah. No, John. Okay, so bringing us into side B is Intuition. I have an anecdote more than I have an actual discussion of the song. I think it's a fine song. So when I thought we were talking Ram versus Mind Games, I was in New York City. So I alternated between those two records all the time. And Intuition was the one that was playing when I was walking in Central Park to the Strawberry Hills Memorial, where there was a street artist or musician of questionable talent singing, I believe, Hey Jude, without knowing the lyrics to it. He had a boombox and he was strumming guitar, singing along. And I'm like, that's not a John song. Also, you don't know the words. But I was listening to Intuition walking by that fateful spot. It's an okay song. It's my number 7.
Yeah, it is my number 8. I have this one right above Freda People. Bass and organ, clavinet. It's got this disco-y, funky sound to it. It's a great side 2 opener. It's playful. It gives me Maxwell. For whatever reason, my talking points this time, I tried to relate each of these songs or to like something that reminded me of another song. A lot of these are Beatles references. So it kind of has like this Maxwell Silverhammer at parts. And sometimes it's got Good Days Sunshine at parts.
Yes, but it's not as good as either of those songs.
No,
I don't even care for Maxwell Silverhammer.
Right.
I don't know. It's just about how he goes about his life and trusts his gut. And it's got an okay hook, Intuition.
Yep.
But, not a real chorus, not a feat of songcraft by any means.
Yeah, there's that Stevie Wonder kind of clavinet sound too, that, superstition, that really trebly percussive keyboard sound. I think that's a clavinet in there. I didn't look at what the instrumentation was used on that, but I'd be 99% sure that's what it was.
Huh.
Which is why I said it was kind of funky, disco-y funky.
Track 8, Out the Blue. This is a song I find to be very pretty. This is the song that I think it's clearly about his relationship, but could be considered a more universal love song. I could see people playing this out of their wedding, or at their a wedding, or on a date, or at a dance of some sort. Out of the blue, out. Well, he doesn't say of, so the title's just "Out the Blue." You came to me and destroyed life's misery. Out of the blue, sea. I can't do it, but I think a great John vocal. I'm not the singer. I don't know why I've been doing all the singing in this episode. It's because I have no other way to express my feelings for the album but through song. But yeah, I have it as number 5. So 4 tracks I like more, but I really like this song. Is it near your bottom?
No, I can't tell you what it is.
Oh, it's in your top 3.
It's a top 3. Ah, the blue, you came to me. I love that. There you
go,
man. Do what this song reminds me the most of any Beatles song. Sexy Sadie.
Oh, yeah.
I've always loved Sexy Sadie. That's one of my dark horse like sleeper tracks on the White Album. And so yeah, this sounds very similar to it. I think I may prefer this song over Sexy Sadie, and I love Sexy Sadie. This was the big...
This is the discovery for you, the discovery.
Yeah, and I don't want to tell you where this is on my top 3 until the end, but this was such a like wowing, awesome song for me. The progression of the chords, that melodic bass, that very McCartney-esque bass part. I just love this song. Absolutely love this song. This is one I want to come back and listen to after the album is over. I just love it. That's probably showing my hand too much.
Yeah, no, that's all good. I mean, otherwise we have to repeat ourselves. It's all good.
It's John's best vocal on here. I mean, there's no competition for it.
Unless you're a fan of the falsetto. Only People is another one of his I don't know what to call it. Personal philosophy, like, let's all hold hands. Only people can help people. And it's just a little bit grating to me. Lyrically, musically, it kind of, it's a beat. But I have it number 8. It's near the bottom of my track listing. It's one that I almost have to, like, when I was revisiting, I was like, how's this one go again? And it's like, only people, people. It sounds very like 70s rock pop. Pretty generic, honestly. So,
yeah, it's right in the middle for me. It's number 6, and it's got that Billy Preston Rhodes sound. It's either a Fender Rhodes keyboard or it's a Wurlitzer, but it's got that funky, upbeat, bouncy quality to it. I love how this album features so much with the keyboard and the bass, even though John obviously is a proficient pianist, but you think of him anyway as a Beatle as being a guitar guy, and it was funny watching the Peter Jackson, the recent documentary Get Back, how much John was playing guitar on those Let It Be songs more than George. I mean, like doing the introductions and the soloing, even introduction on I've Got a Feeling, the soloing on the slide guitar on Get Back. But yeah, the instrumentation is really dominated by keyboards and bass, and then the orchestrations and stuff, the production after the fact. But yeah, this is an okay song. Billy Preston though, it's like, I can just see him playing that Fender Rhodes part, that bouncy Fender Rhodes part, and just kind of bobbing his head along to it. So fun little ditty.
So next on the album is I Know, and in parentheses, I Know. This was a grower for me. This is one that I think it was near the bottom of my list, like after the first listen or the first time I did a list. And as I kept listening to the album, it kept going up. I would say it almost has the Laurel Canyon sound of anything else. Almost like a Jackson Browne type song. I know where to go. I can't sing. Sing it for me, Matt. So
I can't
remember it.
Well, I remember the introduction because that's a big part of what I'm going to talk about, but not the vocal part so much.
It's just sort of a mellow, like it's got some slide guitar to it. Yeah, it's placed in the maybe it's placed in the bottom of the album for a reason. It's kind of forgettable, but it's just kind of got stuck under my fingernails and kept going up and up the list. What do you like about the intro?
Well, it's funny. I just talked about this with the last song, about Let It Be. This introduction is like a almost note for note knockoff of I've Got a Feeling. Ding, 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 ding. And I just want to hear him go, I've got a feeling, but it's got like the same introduction, almost identical. And this song is harmonized throughout, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think that's what gives it that Laurel Canyon sound
Yep.
to me. Yeah.
Yep. And the slide guitar, you mentioned that. And then there's like this melodic descending chorus, which is kind of cool. It's a top 3 for me.
Oh, really? I thought
yeah.
with your expression, like, I thought you were hinting that it was near the bottom. It just doesn't quite make my top 3. It's number 4, in case I didn't say that.
Well, I love I've Got a Feeling. And I love, earlier I said how much out the blue, I love how much I love Sexy Sadie. So if you have songs that sound like 2 songs that I love, there's chances. They're different enough, though. I don't accuse him of plagiarizing his own work, but.
All right, second to last track, notoriously not a good one. It's "You Are Here." Notoriously, like in the track listing, "You Are Here." I don't think anyone knows about. I have it as number 9. It's kind of a slow. It's kind of slow, kind of sleepy. Again, singing about the big head here, how she's always there with him.
The big head.
I don't know. It's an okay love ballad, but it's just unmemorable for me. So it's down there near the bottom at number 9. Not grading like One Day at a Time for me, but not or Aisumasen. So your 2 tracks you really like, it's above that one. But where's "You Are Here" for you? I don't think you've done your number 11, have you?
No, and this album, for all intents and purposes, is 11 tracks because the Nutopian International Anthem. And I've talked about this every episode. I'm going to talk about it again. It's the curse of the penultimate track. In my opinion, 90% of the time, it's my least favorite song on the album, and this is a perfect example of it. "You Are Here" sucks. I hate this song. It reminds me of it has elements of Bring On the Lucie with that Hawaiian feel that I'm getting and the dreamlike vocals, but it's so hard to distinguish what he's saying because the production on this is crap. And then the slide guitar is constantly going up and down the neck and like obscuring what he's singing about. But in addition to that, it's one of the longest songs on the album.
4 minutes long, which for a John song, that's pretty long.
It is pretty long. And for that to be the second to last track, to have to just sit through 4 minutes of just boring, poor production.
Yeah, his vocals aren't particularly great in it. I mean, they're not bad, but it feels tossed off.
It's a total, yeah, I hate this song. I really do. I don't generally go to those lengths to say that I really dislike a song.
That's
this song
is skip button if you're listening to it on the CD.
Right. There's no way there's no reason to have put this on. This song is definitely fodder for like outtakes, if you bought the double disc, and it's not worthy of being on this album.
The last track, "Meat City," great closer. It has a great riff, and then talking about going to whatever Meat City is. It doesn't really quite say. Top 3 for me. I really like the guitar. It's like the one it's probably the best riff in the album. Unless there's one you're thinking of that's better than that. But it's the most guitar forward track of it for John being a guitarist. Good rocker to end it on. So it made my top 3.
Yeah, it's definitely the most heavy song. And like you said, it's got that crunchy guitar. This is definitely a hard rocking song. But it's there's kind of a distorted mess to it. I don't know. The melody kind of is all over the place. I know there's kind of like a little bit of psychedelic production going on there, but yeah, it's probably the most intentionally psychedelic song. I mean, we talked a little bit about One Day at a Time has like a whimsical, playful psychedelic pop psych. This is like heavy psych, and it's just with this song, I think it's just
chicken sucking, mother trucking, Meat City shook down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got headbanging qualities to it for sure, and I don't dislike it. the only song I dislike on here is You Are Here. But this is right above that. This is my number 10.
All right. So let's reveal our top three. Mine are pretty boring compared to yours. We were really divergent here. I have Freda People at number 1, Mind Games number 2, and Meat City is my 3. So, Matt?
Yeah, you know my number 1 obviously is Out the Blue.
Out the Blue. I do like it.
Number 2 is One Day at a Time.
That I don't like, but it's all right. Yeah. It's okay.
And my number 3, and I forget where you had this one. I think you had this one. This was your grower song? I know.
I think I have it at 4. If it's I know. Yeah. So we weren't as different as I thought. Just we were really different on a couple of tracks.
Yeah.
We're all over the place, and I like the single. I don't know what the B. Mind Games was the only single off this record. There were no other singles that I know of. I don't know which one was the B-side. Let me consult.
Well, while you're looking at for the B-side, may I do a quick plug about our new channel?
Yeah, please do. Obviously, they found it somehow. Meat City was the B-side. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So previously, we had all these episodes on my YouTube channel, and we have Jacob, actually, he's the architect behind creating the new one. We've gone to a completely brand new channel, and this is just called Track versus Track. And we'll be uploading all of these to that new channel. I may, for a couple of these two, like do a share to my old page just to encourage people to go over to this new one. But eventually I'm just going to phase that out completely. So please subscribe to the new channel and click that notification bell in the corner. So whenever we put up new content, you'll get a reminder. And we have a bunch of episodes in the works that we've been listening to, or albums that we've been listening to. So stick around, because there's going to be some, I think, really excellent content with special guests.
Lots of good special guests. Very excited to talk to these gentlemen about the albums they chose. In fact, and you know, we're probably going to do another Beatles solo album at some point. Do we jump to Ringo, or do we have to do a George next? Probably, right?
Probably.
So if you're a big George fan and you know one or both of us, let us know, and you can advocate it. I think I've talked about this. I have the concert for Bangladesh, and I think I have like Cloud 9, but I've never listened to Dark Horse. Is that one of them? All Things Must Pass. I think I've listened to that. I do not own it. Dark Horse was his record label. I don't know if there was an album called that. So
yeah, there is.
Oh, there is. Okay, I'm not crazy.
It's got the Sgt. Pepper type of cover. They're like guys dressed up in rugby outfits, but they're lined up like Sgt. Pepper's, you know, different people on the front, all kind of in uniformed lines. It's expensive.
So we're going to end the episode with a new feature for the channel. I have a picker wheel here, courtesy of pickerwheel.com, not a sponsor. And we're going to spin the wheel and discuss whatever comes up as terms of mind games. Ooh, this is exciting. New content here. Should have been a single. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be our track number 1, because we don't think, I mean, what do you think would have the most mass market appeal from Mind Games, considering they only did one single with one B-side here? I'm surprised Bring on the Lucie wasn't a single, Freda People, because it has the most sing-along hook to it.
Yeah, for sure.
But are you going to pick well, I guess, and that's my number 1 track, so I'm being kind of boring here.
Yeah, and I think my choice would be Out the Blue.
I think that's a B-side, though. I don't know.
I think it could contend, though, with like Paul's Maybe. I think this is such a well-written song, such a beautifully melodic song with great vocal performance. that it almost is like John's version of Maybe I'm Amazed by McCartney. I mean, that's maybe a gross exaggeration, because Maybe I'm Amazed is a masterpiece in songwriting. But I don't know, man. This song, I would put this song, Out the Blue, over Imagine in terms of how much I like it. I would put it over Jealous Guy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I would put it over Beautiful Boy. I mean, I'm just talking ballads
Yeah, well,
here.
yeah.
I think it's my favorite John ballad. I mean,
You know,
doing
your
this.
passion for it is much higher than my passion for any of these tracks. So let's go back in time, press a 45 of Out the Blue, and then it becomes, you know, the staple. It replaces Maybe I'm Amazed, a song I'm quite sick of, but it's a good song. But it's hard to not be sick of those silly love songs.
I'm with you though on Free to People though. I mean,
Maybe
that
we'll put that as the B side. That's my consolation prize. Ooh, what is that? I'm turning into that guy who watches food being made on TikTok. Oh,
the solo albums.
oh, all of them.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have
Even
that.
Malcolm. Yep.
I have really beat up copies that I find. Actually, I mean, the vinyl itself is in very good shape. I like getting a used copy with some wear, because it kind of tells the story of it, as long as the vinyl itself is in good shape. That's my personal philosophy.
Right. And if, like, yours is probably sourced from the analog tapes, so it's going to sound better if it's in good shape. These repressings are usually sourced from like digital.
Yeah, still has that 1973 EMI.
Yeah, it's got that beautiful Apple label. Is the inner sleeve your lyrics on that copy?
Yeah, yeah. Very, very Spartan. Not very much art. John didn't bother. Well, there's the Declaration of Nutopia up here, and it has Yoko's signature, and it still credits the Plastic Ono band. So I guess he did use the same band, but it's just no. Actually, it's the Plastic UFO Ono band. I didn't see that before. That's produced and arranged by John Lennon. He produced this one himself. Yeah. So I do believe he goes back to Phil Spector for that pair of albums, like right near the end. But
Yep. And you got, of course, Jim Keltner, the stalwart drummer for all those Beatles solo albums.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Disease by Dennis, Space by Yoko. What the weirdos. These Beatles and their long hair. Weirdos. All right, for track versus track, that's been Mind Games. Join us next episode, where we will have a special guest, and we're talking about an artist I've tried a long time to get into. Will I finally do it? We'll see. That's our cliffhanger.
There's one guy on this album that's on that album too, and so that would be the only clue I'm going to give. Randy Brecker appears as a guest musician on this album, and he's also a guest musician on the album we're going to review next. Randy Brecker, saxophone. Your favorite instrument?
Oh, we'll get into that. Believe me, I'm going to ruffle somebody's feathers in regards to that album. All right. Wait. We'll see you then.
See you guys.